Check, check. That works too. Check. Check. Check, check, check. All right, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. We'd like to welcome everybody here to day two of the conference. Welcome to member two. First of all, I'd like to congratulate yesterday's winners. Somebody last night won an Apple Watch. How about a big round of applause for Anne Francis? And we'd like to thank Caroline Francis for claiming the prize. We know what's going on here. We got cameras everywhere. Also, too, how about a big round of applause for Chief Jerry Tony, won a Fitbit. Yay! And somebody won Home Google. And we don't know who won it, so hey, Google, who won? Who won? Thank you, Google. Yeah. I don't need Google. My wife knows everything. Who needs Google? All right, ladies and gentlemen. This morning, once again, free Wi-Fi. We have free Wi-Fi here. Sign right in. Home address. It's very important. You use your free Wi-Fi. Your administrators, your finance people will love you. So free Wi-Fi today. Free Wi-Fi. Also, too, I'd like to remind everybody, you get 10% off at the gift shop next door at the Member 2 Heritage Park. Or 15% off snow on the roof discount. You know what I'm saying. Just saying. Snow on the roof discount. Hello, it's on. You guys go back to sleep on me? Oh, okay, you're laughing? Okay, good. Hello, Auntie. Also, too, I'd like to remind everybody downstairs there is a trade booth, or not trade booth, what would you call those people downstairs? Vendors. And if you go downstairs today, you'll get a ticket and you could win a prize. All right? So you could win a prize downstairs. So make sure you go see the vendors. Really nice stuff downstairs. Giving away free stuff. And then I saw a booth downstairs. It had the university I graduated from. CBU. It's downstairs. And they're giving away free USBs. And or USBs. They're giving away USBs downstairs too. So anyway, just want to let you guys know what's going on. Also, too, a few things on the agenda has changed. Terry Denny and Luke Denny, land-based learning, has been switched to Mulla. So you got to get on the bus and go. We're making it real, folks. Making it real. No. Land-based training has been moved to this room here, and we ask everybody please come up close if you're going to, in this first 2 or 3 rows for Terry Denny, because they want to clean the last 3 rows of tables. So come on up. Also, too, at 11 a.m., Janie Meter and Lottie Johnson are doing a naming ceremony at the Member 2 Heritage Park, located next door. And we're asking for visitors have priority on that. So if you're from afar, because we're going to do another session for Member 2 residents and for MK staff. So if you're a Member 2 residents or an MK staff, we're going to do this naming ceremony session for you at a later date. We want our guests to come to this first, okay? Okay, doing? All right, awesome. So, and there's a limit. Oh, there's a limit. You got to be 6 feet tall. No. I think that, yeah, only 15. There might be a limit on that one. Also, too, that after that, in the afternoon, the outdoor education actually will be outside by the teepee or wigwam over there, outside. Next, I'll add it. Give you those ill-new directions over there. That's the way it goes. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our keynote speakers today. Melody Wood and Priscilla St. John, both are working out of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. And me and Melody on Facebook have 9 mutual friends. And that's important. We know 9 people. And she's Cree, and they're with the Saskatchewan Indigenous Curriculum Center. And Melody is the Indigenous Knowledge Systems researcher, and her colleague, Priscilla St. John, is the Community Education and Language Specialist. So without further ado, how about a big round of applause for our cousins from Saskatchewan.
Danse. Nanaskamun nanunti kapiti poasem kapipik swatama. Muta masnegan kaki masnama. Priscilla St. John sigason makwasage ganustinia. Igwan nihiyaw yunum yakunay kipik snamago yan. We're very thankful for inviting us to come here to present the language curriculum that we developed. My name is Priscilla St. John. I'm from Makwasagagan. I grew up with my language. Cree is my language, and second language is English.
Hello? Wow. I've never used one of these things before. It's very unnerving. Dansigia, my name is Melody Wood. I'm from Little Pine First Nation. Unlike Priscilla, I did not grow up with my language and culture. I was removed from my parents when I was 5, was in foster care for 2 years, and then I was adopted by a couple of lovely white folks, Frank and Susan Wood. And I grew up in Craven, then the Regina area in Saskatchewan. And when I was 2011, I moved to Saskatoon, and my intention was to work in the language and culture sector. Thank goodness the Saskatchewan Indigenous Cultural Center hired me, and I'm currently in my dream job, so I'm very happy to be here, much like Priscilla. Oh, yeah. Oh. We're unsure how to advance this. Okay, we're good to go. All right, so as mentioned, we both work at the Saskatchewan Indigenous Cultural Center. Our mandate is to protect, preserve, promote the languages and cultures of the First Nations people of Saskatchewan. We are guided by an Elders Council. So in Saskatchewan, there are 8 different language groups: Plains Cree, Woodland Cree, Swampy Cree, Dene, Saulteaux, Dakota, Lakota, and Nakota. So we have a representative from each of the language groups in Saskatchewan, and we try to maintain a gender balance on our Elders Council. We meet with them seasonally. So what we do is when we have ideas for work, we take it to them, we talk to them about it. They usually approve our work, we go away, we do it, we come back, and we present the finished product to them, and then we can discuss any changes that might go on from there. It is very important to us that all our work is, that we take their advice, that they approve it, because that's where we want to drive our work from, is from the elders. We also have a board of governors that is made up of the First Nations chiefs from across the province. And we are built upon the two pillars of language and culture. Priscilla, she manages the languages side, and I manage the cultural resource side. And we do our best to learn, support, and honor our traditional way of life and daily basis. So ceremony is very important to our work. Every day, smudging. We try to have seasonal ceremonies, but that's not just the 4 times a year. No matter what we do, we always incorporate ceremony into our work. Just recently, we had a gathering. It was about museums, traditional properties, and so we definitely began that with ceremony and ended with ceremony. So the bulk of our work is to create various language programs, materials, and resources for all the 8 linguistic groups in Saskatchewan. It's a little tough to develop resources for each language group. So what we do is we typically build one in one program and make it adaptable for all 8 language groups. Oh, that worked. Priscilla's going to take over and talk about the languages department for a little bit.
Okay. So we work with the 8 groups, and being a Cree speaker, I have to make sure that we invite everybody's included, connected with the resources that we're creating. And our program is something we call it very unique. I've been a language teacher for quite some years. I started doing it when I was 17. Just kidding. So as a language teacher, I knew what was missing. I knew what we needed because it was a high demand to teach the Cree in the city. There was a very stressful year for us because we constantly creating these language resources. It's not until I started working at SICC when being with the elders, being with the team, when they started, it was a whole different ball game. They wanted oral. In the schools, they wanted the writing system. So they turned me around. So when we started creating this language curriculum, we had to make sure that it's all the groups. And not only that, the way First Nation think, the way we were brought up. I was brought up in my traditions, my grandma's teachings, my grandpa. We did ceremony. So we started putting that into the books that we're doing, because nobody really knows who we are. That's something that I've been repeating is, I'm First Nation person, and everybody thinks that I'm a powwow dancer. The Creator didn't give me that. Or a drummer. The Creator didn't give me a voice either. I was a grade 1 teacher. I relied on CDs. But one thing is, I know what we needed in our classroom. So we had to bring that up, and we have to start taking over, describing, identifying who are the First Nation people.
All right, so we're just going to talk about the state of language for a little bit. Of course, there's fluent speakers, semi-fluent speakers, and second language learners. I think the reason why Priscilla and I work so good together is having the fluent side and not fluent side. We're able to take 2 different viewpoints. The traditional, she's grown up with it her entire life. And then for me, it's to bring the second learner viewpoint so that we can talk about things at great length, just from these 2 different viewpoints. And then it's just a great way to bring the two worldviews together. And of course, as a result of colonialism in the Indian residential school, as well as child welfare, 60 Scoop, MMIWG, and the Western education systems, we all know that there's lots of barriers out there. But what we try to do is work on this, of course, and mostly through the schools. I think SICC in the past, we did just the bare minimum is what how I would term it. But ever since Priscilla has been on, we are making a huge emphasis on education, because we all know that most of our kids are in schools for most of the day. And so it's very important for educators to be a big part of the language learning. Of course it is for parents and grandparents as well, but educators have our children for many hours of the day. So that's what we concentrate on. And, oh, go ahead. Okay. The negative effects on the mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional aspects. So when you do not have your language, if your mental health is affected, you have low self-esteem, self-concept, and identity. For physical, some effects could be having a disease, hormonal deficiencies, digestive functions. For spiritual health, loss of hope, traditional knowledge, and cultural values. Emotional health weakens resiliency, lowers academic success, and cognitive abilities.
So something I grew up listening to my grandma's teachings is if you don't know who you are and you said that you're going to have problems within yourself. You cannot be somebody that the Creator created you, the Creator gave you a language. I didn't understood what she meant by it until today. Is trying to be, when I started working in a school, there was only 2 First Nations, and there was a Cree immersion. And I tried everything to please the white setting so I could fit in. But I struggled. I went home depressed. I wasn't smart enough. There was comments saying, why are parents putting first their kids in a Cree program? Don't they care about them? I couldn't say anything. So I used to go in a classroom and hug my students and cry by myself. And it took me 4 or 5 years to try to get them to accept me, no matter what I did. And this is where the negative effect was, getting lost.
So for me, growing up in the white world, basically, the only other First Nations kids that I ever saw were in care, or they were, like me, adopted by white folks. And I got teased a lot in school. But I was a snot-nosed little brat, so I would just beat them up.
She's jealous.
But I have since learned to deal with things better. But all these things, they all affected me. But thank goodness I have parents who definitely encouraged me to learn my language and to be involved in culture. They did their best with what they knew. And as I've gotten older, I've been able to reconnect and be where I am today.
Revitalization of our language. Revive, relearn, and reteach. How does it look like? So my grandma used to take me to elders gathering. I must have been 8 years old. And it was such a beautiful setting. There's a lot of elders coming from all over Saskatchewan, and they were talking about the language. And my grandma told us, we have to listen because this is for your future. It's very scary. So we were listening because I'm thinking there's going to be monsters in the future. But there was this one elder that was talking and said, right now, this is how much Cree speakers there is. In the future, there's going to be a handful. And I didn't know what that meant. So when I went to the city, because I stayed in the res, everybody in the res spoke Cree. And my grandma used to tell me, always speak Cree to an elder. That's respect. Then when I got to the city, people that are older than me, I started speaking Cree to them. And then they didn't understand me. So it was very, very, it was a shock. But a lot of them would say, oh, you're so lucky you get to speak Cree. And that's what we need to do as fluent speakers. We are the ones that we have to go out there. We need to motivate people around us that want to speak Cree.
That's just made me actually think of something. I think I was about 24, 25, and I was living in Regina, and I really wanted to learn Cree, but there was no one around. But then I found this class at a library, and this little old man, I don't know how old he was, but he was legally blind. He was trying to teach just a handful of us in the library Cree. And when I think about it, what we're here today, his methods were ineffective. But what mattered to me was that he tried. I now work at the Saskatchewan Indigenous Cultural Center, but what he used to do is call up the center, get a list of words for the day, and then try to teach us this. I came away with it, unfortunately, not remembering a lot, but I still went every class. I would ditch everything to go to class because I just wanted to learn so badly. So even though it wasn't like the best program, I will always remember that man because he was trying. And I think that's the best that we can all do. But now we have some methods that we're going to share here in a little bit. Whoops. Is that it?
So sacred, with our languages, it's very, very sacred. It's very powerful. It's your identity. In Saskatchewan, I don't know, it's probably here too, is that you could tell where you come from depending on your voice, your identity. We can identify in the community, either they're not fluent speakers or not, but you end up making that connection with the sound. And so our language is so sacred, very descriptive. It's very alive. It's connected with the land. And it's humorous. That's something, humor is always so powerful in our culture. Everywhere I go, I enjoy seeing humor, especially when it's the language, because it brings the spirit up on us. Something we used to, the elder talked about is kayas. Long time ago, the parents used to talk to the baby when the baby's in the womb, and the baby's already learning the language. Then when they grow a little older, they're able to connect, they are able to understand. So I have a granddaughter. When I heard about it, said, how are we going to revitalize? How are we going to help our people? It has to start from you. When my grandma used to say, he said, "Muy kats munyaw kawiwitsigo no, yakum kakyo ikyutna. Kia no ampo kapasugupta mauma, pikskwana no ikon nihiyaw na no." The government, the white are not going to help us. They're the ones that took it away. We're the ones to stand up our language and our culture and our traditions. We have to do it. So that, when I had my grandbaby, I thought I got to make a commitment. So I went up to my mom and my sisters. I said, I want you to start speaking Cree to the baby. So when she was born, that was the first word she learned from me, is a Cree word. And now today, she's 1 year old. She can clap her hands. She can, if she's trying to touch something, I said, Namoya, kaya, bimuti. The little stuff like that she's learning. So it starts from us.
And that again, once again, I'm going to just show the difference between us. I don't have any children of my body. I didn't give birth to any children, but me and my sister, we raised 3 children together in separate homes, but she has her own. I'm about to legally adopt my nephew, Freedom, and then we are sharing a foster care of our little 5-year-old niece. And it's very, very important to us, especially to me, that language is in the home. So for little Shiloh, who's only 5, I love it when she's in a different room and she'll be like, Bastam, Bastam, auntie. She's saying, come here. It's actually Astam. But it doesn't matter. I get what she's saying, and I just love like that she's trying to speak, and it's just an amazing feeling. All right, so we're going to get into the land-based education curriculum. Since Priscilla has been on, we already had this book. It was called Protocols and Methodologies. Priscilla came on, and she developed the instructor's resource guide that goes along with it. And then the second one that she tackled was land-based education. Both languages and culture, of course, they support each other. So she's the driver of it, but I do whatever I can to help her out. So we're going to get into this one. All right, so the purpose of this curriculum is to have our children's identities protected and maintained through teachings of our elders, grounded through the Creator and creations. Schools and educators are given the opportunity to maintain and enhance First Nations cultural and traditional values. Maybe what we'll do is, of course, we couldn't bring copies for everyone, and it probably won't get through the entire room, but maybe we can just pass this one around. We do need it back, though, unfortunately. So do you maybe just want to pass it to the... Yeah. Oh, I'll do the other one. It's in that big. Yeah. We can just start here. No, we'll just pass it around so people can have a look. And we'll start there. Get it? Hey, oh, there we go. Did I? Okay. All right, so a quick overview about this land-based education. It is designed for schools and educators to give them an opportunity to teach, maintain, and enhance First Nations cultural and traditional values. The reality, of course, is that many of our youth have grown up without their identities, me, and educators who have this knowledge have the opportunity to impart their identities with them through First Nations cultural and core curricular expectations. This model in this curriculum fits into our daily lives. It's accessible and mobile with easy setup. The curriculum benefits both Indigenous educators and is adaptable to all First Nations language groups. And that's the part that we want to emphasize, is that it is adaptable. Most of our office of the 8 language groups were largely Plains Cree, so that's how we develop most of our curriculum. But we ensure that it is adaptable to any language in Saskatchewan. But really, when you look at it, it can be adaptable to any language. any First Nations language, even Spanish. It's set up to be adaptable like that.
So so land-based, he said, what is land-based? What is it going to do for our students? So one of the very, we thought, growing up at home, we thought there's no education at home. The best education is at school. But we're totally, totally wrong. The best education comes from the families, our elders, our communities. And everything we do, growing up, everything we do it's through prayers. For example, every time we go blueberry picking, my grandma's praying before we start. She's yelling at her sons, don't forget to pray before they go hunting. Sweetgrass to mint. We had to do everything through prayers. And also, after using the mint, we had to throw it in a clean bush. So everything, and even with all the guts that the men prepared, those were respected, so we thought those are the things that our children are going to learn, is who we are. So when the settlers came here, they wanted us to lose our ways so we can depend on them. And part of it is welfare, taking our ceremonies away. But now we're getting it back. So here's a year plan. Teachers probably know this. This is a whole year plan from September to August. It's a seasonal year plan. So every month, for example, September, you will see it, that every month we added 4, because our sacred number 4. And obviously, you can adapt it to you. You can change it to what you want. So these themes are not through me. It's from elders.
I just brought up the elders' outcomes here. So these are just 4 of the 8 elders' outcomes. Strengthen connectedness and spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional wellness. Develop a personal and collective self-esteem, identity, and sense of cultural and personal belonging. Develop an understanding of the treaties and its relationship with the land. Understand the cross-curriculum with the provincial curriculum. So before we even do this work, it's important to talk to elders and have them tell us what's important for this. So we meet elders' outcomes before we even bother with the provincial outcomes, because we know that it'll line up. We'll find it and we'll make it work. So that's of absolute importance when we're developing curriculum. If you get a chance to flip through it, you'll see, of course, that there's lots of imagery. It's outdoor imagery. It's just to keep, people engaged. Remember that it's land-based curriculum, and to remind us of our way of life. It's always been. It looks a little bit different now with the canvas teepees, but we can still do this. And it just reminds us to take our teachings out on the land and not within the 4 walls.
When I was working with a lady, when we were developing this book, I learned, and she did too. And because we had to make sure Dakota, down south, down north, everybody's included, and to get away from the Cree perspective, which she kept reminding me, we decided, okay, let's call down south how they make their canoes long time ago. So she called her grandpa, and then she said, how did you guys used to make a canoe? And he started laughing. Down south, we didn't use canoes. We didn't need to. And that was something really opened my eyes. Look at how much we know each other. So the seasonals, the seasonal monthly theme has virtues also. That's something we can always relate to, is all the virtues. Sahitun, so love. So you'll see here for fall, September here, the first ceremony is the ceremonies and protocols, sage, sweetgrass picking. So those are just examples what you can do in the fall. Winter, in December, same thing, snowshoes, winter snaring. And these are actually, we called a few places, what do you do in the winter? And not only the Cree, we called everybody else, and include them into the monthly themes. Spring, March, pipe ceremony, laws of earth, animals, summer, June. And something we still included is July and August, because our culture doesn't end in June. We keep going. It's a journey.
Because we're in this territory, we talk about land-based education. I know that we've talked about it at work, and I'm sure that we'll get there, but I would love to see water-based education curriculum being developed, and I think that that's something that we'll tackle down the road.
Okay, so here's the elders' outcomes. We got the elders' outcomes from North Battleford elders. So Noella Mitzwing, Moccasin, and Sylvia Weenie went to their communities, all the North Battleford reserves, met with elders, and they started embracing their elders. They wanted, before everything starts, it has to come through elders. So they were so grateful and gave that us to include it. So here you'll see elders' outcomes. And
you got to squint real hard.
Yeah, because a lot of us still were so colonized. And that was me a long time ago. And the president, Wanda, she always laughs at me, get that Western thinking, that box out of you. And I'm so grateful. I didn't know how colonized I can be. So I had to get rid of it. And so we know there's some outcome police out there, especially in Saskatchewan. If I presented this, that's the first question a First Nation teacher would say, where's the SAS curriculum outcome? And I said, here it is. But I like to compare the outcomes, the elders' outcomes to SAS curriculum. I'll show you that after, but it's more sacred, more powerful in us, because that's who we are, that's how we talk.
I think everyone could agree, school is within a building, same as the office. We go to an office every morning, and it's almost like you switch and you start operating in a very business-like manner. So that's why we try and remind ourselves and start with the morning smudge. That's why we make ceremony so important with our work. We take it out onto the land, not within the city limits, because that's how we keep reminding ourselves not to of course, remember the Western way, but emphasize our own ways first. We've already addressed this.
Okay, assessments. So we need to get out, so assessments. I actually got this when I went to teachers convention. There was 13,000 teachers. And we're in the stadium, and there was a keynote speaker from Denmark. And he was talking about his country where they were struggling with drugs and alcohol, and their youth was, there was a high dropout. And their academia was very low. And then they decided to use their own method because they've been using the Western method. So when they started doing that, they started seeing change. Now they have a high percentage of graduates. The alcohol and drugs decreased, and that's where I was thinking the light clicked in, because everything I've been doing was based on the Western education. They even taught us how to do a classroom management, how to look after a little boy, how to present them. But I didn't even put the way we were brought up. So that's when I thought about, we have our own laws. How come we are not using our own laws in schools? And so this is one of the laws. We don't think as a muniao. We look at each other as holistic. That's the only way we can flourish. So our virtues, what is our virtues? What does it look like? Sakitun, love. Humbleness. We got to show that. We have to model it. And that's how we need to teach our kids. So their observation is going to be based on the virtues, not based on the wildness. Sometimes a child, one is wild. And being patient and being the role model and letting them go out there to identify themselves as First Nations, be able to walk on their territory, on their lands. And of course, everybody wants the checklist, scales. That's what we gave them. So, but in a holistic method.
Just to elaborate a little on what Priscilla said earlier, it's happening all across Canada, but of course there's higher rates of suicide among our youth. And a couple years ago, I got to go up to northern Saskatchewan to La Ronge, where a lot of this was happening, and we visited a classroom, land-based classroom, and it was after a recent epidemic, and we had found, just by observation, of course, and many of these things of talking with the teachers, that not one single student in that class had ever thought about it, had the urge. They were happy, they were productive. So just by observation, we know that this works. But of course, being educators, there's all these tools in place to ensure that it's happening. So I think that brings us to the end of land-based curriculum. Now we're going to switch over to our Teaching Sacred Language curriculum, and this is the most recent one that we developed, mostly by Priscilla. So we'll get into that one, and then we'll have a couple of activities to end this out. So the purpose of this curriculum is to give our traditional knowledges and ways of knowing a place at the front lines and to gain some ground in the journey of taking back our languages. It has been written from a First Nation perspective with the guidance of elders, teachers, and language champions. And that's something that we keep saying over and over because it's important. Oops, I think I went too far. Go, me? Okay. So it is designed for children, youth, adults to be used in classrooms or other locations to enhance language programming that may already be in place. The reality is that language teachers struggle due to lack of time, resources, translations, and use of orthographies. This model in this curriculum fits into our daily lives. It's accessible and mobile with easy setup, and the curriculum benefits both Indigenous and non-Indigenous people and will work with any First Nations language. We talked about that as well, but even though this is built for the education, I have all these things at home. And I don't have time to go through it every single day, but I take these tools and I use them in the home with the children in my life. Oh, I thought she was talking to me.
Okay, so we said we need to make this real. We are desperate. We got to make it right. So I talked about where the elders said we have to do it. Nobody doesn't understand who we are. We understand each other. What is it we need? So all those whispers, what the elders been saying, something I grew up, my grandma saying is, Ipia wiguake kuka awasak, manto ipia wiguake. Kia no makapisagi hayakik, kapix na moyakik, kamanate hayakik. Kapix na moyakik ni hiau nano, higwa kapix kunano, higwa ni hiau si tigiun. Our children are loaned to us from the Creator. Our job is to love, nurture, respect, and teach them our ways. It doesn't sound powerful in English, but in Cree, it is so meaningful. So when I started finding who I was, accepting all the stuff that my grandma taught me, I'm not just a Cree teacher. That Cree language I was teaching in the classroom, it didn't mean nothing at the beginning. It was just to impress everybody else. But because of that Denmark man, this is the first thing that popped up. As a teacher, this is what we should be doing. Those children are not ours. Our job is to love them, to care for them, to nurture them. Those are Creator's angels.
I shared that a little bit about my home life. Alcohol and drugs are very prevalent in my biological family. I love them unconditionally, but what I've chosen to do is, of course, is to leave the bad stuff behind and concentrate on the good. I've also taken what I've learned from my white parents. They were very wonderful people, they still are, and to take all these different teachings, the good, and implement them into my life. And that's the way that I look at the children in my life, that they aren't mine. They weren't born of my body, but I'm here to take care of them. And so within this vision, that's what I try to remember to myself every single day, because life is busy, life is tough sometimes, but I think of all the things that I can remember for them is this.
And here's the elders' outcomes again, is bringing our elders back. So we got a hold of the elders from all the 8 groups, and we told them, why is it so important that the youth need to know the language? And this is their outcomes. The Creator gave the Sioux Nation a special sacredness language to speak, and it's called Dakota language, a Dene. It is the gift from the Creator, our spiritual language, our mother tongue, and our identity. Lakota, they will benefit who they are, what they are. If our children keep our language, there will be still Lakota. Late Frida Owach, amazing woman, one of the language warriors, passed away, but it's a privilege to continue to use her words here. Our language is our gift from the Creator. It has a spirit, and it is alive. It's our identity, our sacred way of life here on Mother Earth. Those are so powerful compared to the language, the SAS curriculum. SAS curriculum, kids will learn to read and write.
Can you, Pat, go down and pass that other book around? So Priscilla is going to take my other book down there, and we'll start passing that one around again. We'll need that one back too, please. But the cover, you can see that it's a kukum, and she's speaking to a child, and you can see syllabics coming out of the mouth. When we saw this image, we immediately approached the artist to ask permission to use this photo, and he absolutely agreed once we explained what the curriculum was all about. And inside, like all these flashcards, you'll see that they're in black and white. When we took ASLA training through Dr. Gray Morning, what we had found was that many people tended to focus on the colors. So we decided that we would develop our own, and we would take the color out of it. That way people would just, they tend to concentrate better on the language as opposed to colors. So that's why we chose to do that, why we did.
So this is how it looks like, similar to land-based. Seasonal, monthly virtues. Fall, September is respect. What does respect look like? How are you going to respect your body, teaching your students, or respecting your classroom, respecting the land, respecting the roots and the animals. So all that can be taught during that month. So there's kinship, strength, courage, cleanliness. He said we all have our own protocols on it. You can bring that into the classroom. And of course, we added July and August because our language doesn't end. It keeps going and going. So here's an example of one of the year plans is September respect. So you'll see greetings, basic commands. So those are like, danse, stamp, beat the green. There's ASLA. The classroom objects are over here. And you'll know they're the classroom objects because it will say themes. So we started with the classroom objects because students come in and they see pencils, papers. And there's TPR ASLA. So TPR, total physical response. We're going to do that together. And ASLA, these are the ASLA here. Okay, you can flip.
Right there, she has written strategies of SRO, MRO, and syllabics. There are still people who learn with the pen, so we did keep that piece in there. But we try to focus in on the oral strategies. Through work, we've been laxing a little bit lately, but Priscilla teaches me Cree. And I can say for certain it is very, very hard to put down the pen. I love writing stuff down, so it's very hard. I have to not bring anything into the classroom. But I can say for sure that it is a much better way to learn. I retain more. So I'm learning to love it when it was very difficult in the beginning.
So these two methods are oral, visual, and listen.
So of course we want to acknowledge where ASLA and TPR come from. Dr. Gray Morning developed ASLA, or Accelerated Second Language Acquisition, and Dr. Asher developed Total Physical Response. So I mentioned a little bit about ASLA and how we're doing that in the office, but it strengthens first speakers as teachers, and it increases second speakers' language ability, use of pictures, and forced problem solving. And I showed you examples there and why black and white seems to work better. We found there's a few places that are actually using this in Saskatchewan already, and they have confirmed that seems to help.
So I went to BC a couple years ago, and that's where I learned TPR. Such an amazing place, Chief Atten School. And what I really enjoyed that they bring is you got to have a safe environment. The kids need to have fun. Everybody should be included. And I totally agree with that. Even the kids with disability, we have some disability in our family, and we never tell them, go sit over here. We always invite them. They're always with us during Christmas. And we celebrate their differences. We don't look at them as disability. But we also understand their limits. And that's how I do it in my classroom. And is to have fun when you do TPR. Kids love TPR. the past few months, Sheila and I have been going around, just around Saskatchewan, teaching TPR. And we are certifying level 1. And these are adults, these are teachers from Head Start to all language teachers. And they have a lot of fun. And that's us, that's me knowing they have learned in the classroom. So TPR, I'm gonna do you'll see set 1, action word, set 1. Those are the 5 focused words for September. So set 1 and set 2 are the target words for September using TPR. Non-stressful, easy to do. I'm gonna test you, and I believe some of you guys do understand Cree.
If you need to do a quick stretch, do it now.
Opposites. Okay, I'm going to. So I would like everybody to join me. So 5 Cree words. Ready? Okay, ape, nipawe, pimote, nagi, kuiski, ape. Huh?
We have 1 participant. Right on.
Oh, sis.
Please stand up, join us.
Basagu.
I'm going to bring a chair up.
Yeah. Ape. Nipawe.
I'm going to
Pimoti. Nagi. Kueski. Kueski. Ape. Nipawe. Aha. Namoya. Pimpata. Kuiskapo. Astam. Ikata.
now. Let's choose that woman to come up. And like turn her back to the crowd and do it.
Okay. Because you're a trooper, can we use you?
This lovely lady here was the first one to stand up and do it, so we're going to test her a little bit and see if this works. Backwards, though?
Backwards?
Yeah.
Why?
Otherwise, she could see, couldn't she? No? No? Never mind.
All right. Oh, you don't need glasses. You just need your ears. So remember TPR, it's only listening. And with TPR, we don't want to force our children to pronounce it right, because that's backing them out. When you're a little child, especially the fluent speakers, or even the English, your mom didn't go, you didn't say it right. They listen to you as a baby and they will learn. There's baby talk. And that same thing as a first learner. I couldn't even speak English. I struggled because I had to go to school to speak English and everybody laughed at me. These guys still do. They actually make me cool now because they're doing it. I didn't know how to say Western. Now I used to say Western.
Yeah.
See, they're correcting me. They're helping me out.
All right.
So, Nipawe, Pimote, Nagi, Kueske, Pimote, Nagi, Kueske, Ape. So this is a delay. A teacher stands back. You don't want to stress a child that they're in test or staying away from that test. Oh, I'm going to be testing you. Okay, sorry. Nipawe. Bemote. Lagi. Kueski. 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 Bemote. Lagi. Kueski. Lagi. Ape. Aha. Namoya. Ape. Namoya. So that's something. You notice that I went over there without stressing her? I had to join her. I didn't say, get over here, you did it wrong. That's an old residential school style, right? So we have to, as teachers, we need to be, as parents who are going over there, they don't know they're doing it wrong. You're going to model and help them out. Thank you. Hi, hi.
Let's give her a round.
So those are the verbs, action words that you can do the whole year.
If you have a chance, hop onto Facebook and look for Julia Ouellette. She does a lot of TPR in her classroom, and she posts a lot of videos. And if you talk to her, she would say that she definitely gets her workout for the day doing this, and it's very beneficial for the children. And I personally love this method. I'm still like a child in many ways, so when I get things right, I get to clap like a seal. It's very awesome. So we're going to move on here. Oh, did I go too far?
Yeah, yes, pretty sure you did. Because the ASLA method. We're missing the ASLA.
Hold on. Oh, well, we'll talk about it.
Okay, so we're going to move on to ASLA with the flashcards.
Oh, I'm going to see if I can remember what I've learned.
Okay. Okay.
So again,
hold
I'll
on.
need one volunteer, please.
Right there.
All right. Our lovely MC is going to come up. So I'm going to try and use no English from this point on.
So it's I say, so teacher say. So I say, he say, we all say.
All right. Escoisis. Escoisis. Muswa. Muswa. Emiguanes. Emiguanes. Pimihagan. Pimihagan. Emiguanes. Escoisis. Pimihagan. Muswa. And there's just the four. So Priscilla's going to take over and take care of the next level there.
Okay, we're going to just switch this. So I didn't want to correct her, but I'll do it at closed doors. Escuel. Moswa. Emiguanes. Pimihagan. So we have the first for September, there's 16 words, just single vocabulary, and there's 4 people, 4 animals, 4 objects, and 4 transportation. So once they master this whole row, that's when you add another 1 or 2 pictures. I'll show you this one here. So also, you do not correct them here, even ask a mom. Or not to humiliate them. A teacher has to find her or him to try to help her not to feel, or him to feel bad that they did something wrong. Muswa. Escuel. Imiguanes. Pimehagan. Muswa. Imiguanes. See, you notice what happened? The crowd are engaged. They actually become, they learn from each other. So, Muswa, na pises.
Oh, we got it!
So that's why it's so important they're listening, and only oral. So oral and listening. So he did all these right, and then he knew there was a new word. Maybe these kind of confused him, yeah. But napisis was a new word, so all of you guys were like, you can hear the little noise, so you help them out with to grab the right one. So that's comprehension, independent learning from student to student. Oral, there's no writing. Dr. Gray Morning says you learn 80 vocabulary, including sentences in 1 week. Thank you, yeah.
All right, thank you.
So,
Here.
so the other thing now is this is October. So September, October, there's connections. Now you're going to add a word. Now you're going to learn how to make sentences. So this one would be, ask them. So, I'm going to test him. Okay, we're right here. Okay, so remember most. Okay, so you're going to review. Escuel, Moswa, Emiguanes, Pimehagan, Escuel, Nawe, Moswa.
Yeah, there we go.
Napisis, Nikan, Pemehaganek. Emiguanes, Takuch, Mitsunatek. Te tapoen, Moswa, Nawe, te taponek. Thank you. That's how many minutes? Good job. So that's how this works. And a lot of people thought because I'm Cree and I was part of this, they thought it was only for Cree. It's not only for Cree. We made sure, because we had to make sure our 8 groups in Saskatchewan be able to do this. There's a big job the fluent speakers need to do. We said our languages are decreasing. We need to motivate them. They say, the elder said there's a residential school spirit that goes flying everywhere, or the colonial spirit that goes in us. We have to take that out now. Let's get our teachings, our love, our humbleness back into teaching our children. Nobody doesn't need to tell us. We know what it is. So here at the back of each flashcard, you will see an English word, man, and translations. So how do you say man in your language? So you would put that right there. And the reason why we're doing that is because the fluent speakers are our teachers now. They need to help the second language learners. For example, me and Melody, I'm showing her or teaching her to, with the language. Because one day, all the fluent speakers might die out. We're going to be relying on our second language teachers. And it's dying fast.
And I'm learning. As Priscilla has mentioned, she goes out and she teaches the certification for total physical response. And she's teaching me ASLA. I, in turn, have gone out with her to teach TPR. And I'm just very honest about where I am. I'm learning, and I tell people that. But that doesn't mean that I can't teach. If I know a word, I can teach it. Same with ASLA. She's teaching me at work. I, in turn, take that home. So if there's anything to take away from all of this, of course, it's that no matter where you are in your language journey, you can begin teaching if you know 1 word or 10 words or semi-fluent or fluent. And I think that's really powerful to know that.
So we're so blessed with our president, Wanda Williams, where she keeps reminding us, this is who we are. You are First Nation people. This is what's missing. You know what's your identity, your language, your culture, your traditions. And is putting us back in there is one of the most blessing environment to be.
So we're going to end a little bit early here, but we just want to thank you so much for inviting us to these lands. They're very, very beautiful. I wish we didn't have to come at night, but thank you so much.
Thank you. On behalf of the conference, thank you guys very much. Walalan, thank you. Thank you. This is truly amazing. Walalan, Walalio.